Has the commission members had enough time to review the
I have.
information? Ms. Hightower, if you don't mind, you can come over here and sit down and be more comfortable if you want to. But you have to speak into the microphone there. You have to stand up there with your information. I'm sure they'll have questions for you. You need to push the speak button when you go to speak. This is Miss Tammy Hightower.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If it makes you feel any better, I spilled coffee on me trying to drive in Nashville traffic this morning, so.
It doesn't make Larry Flair feel any better.
Ms. Hightower, we rejected your application previously, right?
Was it rejected? The letter stated an appearance before the board.
Oh,
Reviewed it and you've
we
asked her
reviewed
to
it
appear.
and wanted more information
Yes.
from you.
Correct.
Okay. And briefly tell us about your investigative experience.
I worked for the federal government for 20 years.
Hightower, excuse me, you need to speak into the microphone or pull it down.
Oh, in red?
Yeah, but pull it
Oh,
down and
okay.
speak into it. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Worked for the federal government for 20 years, mostly handling disaster programs, which detailed quite a bit of investigations, especially on site, going through contracts. Anyway, you don't just hand someone $100,000 and because they have a disaster. A lot of investigations went into approving applications for financial assistance. Local government for 6 years. Same thing, mostly investigating deficiencies in water and sewer and natural gas companies, deficiencies in purchasing policies and adherence to state statutes. So most of what I'm wanting to do is rather as an employee of the government, I was approached by numerous people wanting to hire me to investigate certain things within local governments, specifically municipal and county, to ensure that certain people were adhering to the policies and procedures and regulations they were supposed to. So that's kind of how this came about. My husband was a private investigator, I think for 7 or 8 years. His license is retired. So I worked with him quite a bit. He mostly did workman's comp. Most of what my business will be, if approved by this board, is going to be in finance. I'm also a certified municipal financial officer in the state of Tennessee and a certified recorder in the state of Tennessee. Local government is something that I know extremely well. Federal government is 20 years of service there. I know their regulations, their internal control manuals, and when people started asking me to do research for them to investigate certain things that were being done in numerous local governments, mostly in West Tennessee, I thought, well, this is something that I could make a business out of. The industry itself always interested me because of my husband, who was in it for so many years. But most of my business will be in the financial arena, mostly local government.
Commission members have any other questions or comments for Ms. Hightower?
I think she's here for you. Did you everyone have the opportunity to review her education in lieu of the 2,000 hours and what she has been doing? That's what we're voting for. In lieu of the 2,000 hours of compensatable investigative experience, what she's been doing, and her mostly it's education that you provided, was it not?
Or a combination of both.
Okay.
I do have a bachelor's degree in business administration, associate's degree in accounting, on top of my state certifications.
Baker University? Where's Baker?
At Michigan.
Flint, Michigan. Quite a bit of education.
I make a motion, we just go ahead and accept her experience, schooling, training, degrees, enough for the 2,000 hours that's needed, because it's well more
I second.
what?
Second.
is needed.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so let me make sure I've got the motion down, was that we are going to be accepting Tammy Hightower's experience, her education in lieu of the 2,000 hours, and we will be approving her for a private investigator company license. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
All right, Miss Hightower, I'm sorry we brought you in for such a short period of time and you had to witness our little computer problem.
That's okay. I enjoyed Nashville
Okay.
yesterday evening, so
Oh, good.
thank y'all very much. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Welcome to the profession.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you'll be hearing from us.
Thank you.
Further, thank you so much for coming in.
She got both of them. Yeah. Good grief. Okay, moving right along.
Let's let Mr. Brown come in, please. He's out in the hall. No, he's out. She went to get him. When you recuse yourselves, it is my policy that you will step out into the hall. That way we won't have any confrontation, any misunderstandings. All right, Mr. Brown, thank you.
I'm back.
For your information, Ms. Hightower was approved.
Okay.
Next on our agenda is the Administrative Matters Executive Director, Cody Vest.
All right, thank you. So I just have a few things here. We'll go to the monthly report. You have January and February. It does have all our professions on there, but you just want to go to the private investigators. We still do have, and appreciate Mr. Russo with us since 2014, his expiration date. Mr. Shanks has been
Will be
appointed.
replaced.
We do have his, and I believe you're out until 2021 is your date. Just an update there. Your vice chair, David Brown, and I attended the sunset hearing for the Private Investigation Polygraph Commission on the Hill, and the commission has been extended to 2024.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
That was my first experience being on the Hill. Needless to say, it can be a little bit intimidating up there, particularly the way it started off. There were a bunch of other boards up there to be reviewed, and they were grilling them. They were asking them some good questions, but when it came time for us, they passed us. And then the chairman of the committee up there praised the PI and Polygraph Commission director for the job that we're doing. And I want to thank Cody and the staff over here, because y'all do an excellent job. I've always felt that way, but it's nice to have a confirmation from the big boys.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So we're going to be around for a while.
Yes.
Looks. All right. And it's the same information as on the other month for you. All right. That being said, we're going to move right on to the budget. We're in a negative of $14,932. So this morning, I got on the computer. There are 51 polygraph examiners. We were carrying 56 at my last count, but there's 51 this morning, as of this morning. You've got 1,084 private investigators. He's having trouble with his app. You have 515 companies. As of June the 30th of 2015, the total count of all three of those was 1,679. So you are staying pretty current. I believe what's happened to those that do drop out, that are being replaced by the ones that continue to renew, the new companies that are coming in or renewing. This is something that is not really too much of a concern at this moment. This is only, if you look at it, it's January. We had to, STS, which is our computer systems that we're using, send in their quarterly bill, and all professions have to pay their portion for the computer. Even if we did end in a negative balance at the end of the year, 1 year would not sunset us. But I'm going to try to watch this very closely. That's why I'm looking at the number of private investigators. Like I said, to me, it looks like it's saying pretty even from 15 to 18, the number of investigators that you're having in the companies, and any trends that might be going. I don't know personally, so I'd have to ask you, what could we possibly do to get more people into this industry? A lot of work is being done on computers nowadays instead of hiring private investigators. So what I'm going to do is try to watch the trends, watch the number of private investigators that we have, and see if there's something in that, how it's going down. And I will be watching the budget very closely. I have already talked to Carter Lawrence about this that you met this morning, Assistant Commissioner. My concerns of us being in a negative balance. So he's aware of it. So we will be monitoring this every month. You have any questions for me?
I think one of the problems with getting people into the industry is that a lot of people that have polygraph or private investigation companies don't want to enter because of liability. And I think we've discussed that before.
Yes, so there is that has been a discussion with legislation on the Hill also about the apprenticeship, but your program has an apprenticeship. But the problem is, and we hear it every single day, I cannot find anyone that will apprentice me, who not let me put my apprenticeship with their program. Whether it's because of competition or I don't really know what the answer is. But your program was first developed to allow the apprenticeship. This was for the person to come in, learn the profession. Now, if you remember some of you years ago, it was that an apprentice could be in his car. I'm gonna say he could be in his car. You'd be in your car, and long as you were within communication, that this individual could ask for assistance or ask what needs to be done, it was approved. But now you've changed the apprenticeship to where they actually have to be with this person all the time. They cannot go out and work on their own. I think it's something we need to look at. I think we need to look at other states. Maybe I can come back to you and tell you what these other states are doing with their apprenticeships, but that's already there. It's not being utilized, so you're right. That's exactly what it is. Some companies just don't want to apprentice someone for whatever the reason.
Madam Chairman, if I may, Madam Director, on my company, that's exactly why I don't let anybody come in, because I have to be with them. And if I'm going to be with them, I can't get any compensation through my clients for two of us. And why do I want to have that responsibility? That's the way I, as running my business, look at it. The other thing is this. I don't see a problem with a particular company being responsible, but again, having to have that for 2,000 hours is, in my question, please, is this a legislative from the Hill needs to be changed, or we as board members, and the counselor may have to answer that, or you can.
Well, I'm not real sure exactly what your question is. For the 2,000 hours is only for a company owner. It has nothing to do for a PI. The PI just makes application, takes the exam, passes the background check, has company affiliation, we issue a license. It's the company that has to have, the individual that has to have the 2,000 hours to open the company. So it's not a private investigator. That's not keeping them from being a private investigator.
Oh, but they are required to have a certain amount of on-the-job training through.
No, sir, not in this statute. You're, whatever you do within your company to train that individual is up to you. They can do it two ways to become a private investigator. They can hire on you as an apprentice. The apprenticeship is good for 6 months. That gives you time to train the individual. We get a letter from you that says, I'm training Mr. Smith. And whenever you feel he's ready to become an investigator within that 6 month period, you send me a letter that says his apprenticeship has ended, and if he's passed the test, passed the background check, we upgrade him to a private investigator and affiliate him with your company. That's all they need to do.
Thank you.
Interestingly, I heard that in the TPIA seminar I attended last Saturday, that sense that 2,000 hours was required.
There's a misunderstanding. The 2,000 hours
Apparently.
is just for the company.
Yes.
Am I correct? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's something, okay. There's something I need to tap in, make a note of that, if you would, Shauna. At the seminar, I need to touch on that, because that is not true. That's not the first time we've heard that. But that's only for, like, Ms. Hightower. She had to have the 2,000 hours or you approve her experience. It has nothing to do with the private investigator. So maybe if you would kind of look at the laws and the rules, kind of think again, and maybe we need to look at the apprenticeship again. Yeah.
Would you like to send that out to us, the apprenticeship rules? And
Do that. I'll send you
so we
an
can-
email blast.
Yeah, an
so you know
email
what to
blast
look
of
at.
that, and we'll look at that and bring it up at the next meeting.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable, yeah.
So did the commission put the internship that we have to be with the intern, or is that a state
Yes, sir.
law? So it's
You did it.
It's a rule.
It's in the rules under Part 2 of the apprenticeship rules. The commission has defined direct supervision, says shall mean in the direct physical presence of a licensed investigator. So that is something that you all have the authority to look at and maybe change a little bit, because it's a rule and not a statute.
And again, that can come from this commission. It does not have to come from the Hill on a legislative matter,
That's correct.
because
But
it's,
it would have to be done through a rulemaking hearing, would it
yes.
not? Oh, proposed rules, yeah. It's not something we can just decide right
Sure,
now
sure.
to change. It's
Okay.
a procedure we'd have to use. Any other questions on that? But thank you, Stuart. I'm glad to hear that, because when I do this seminar, I'll touch on that. Because I will have private investigators there, and there will probably be company owners with the individuals to help them on board and everything, and we need to make sure that's clarified.
Right.
Uh,
You mentioned something, Cody. You mentioned a possibility of exploring trends in surrounding states. It's an interesting idea.
Yes, sir. I'll look into that, and I'll bring you back a report at our next meeting.
Perhaps the
It's a-
trends in licensees are being shown in other states as well.
Perhaps you could send that to us in an email also.
I
so we
won't have
can
anything to talk about at the next meeting.
Okay.
I've never a lack for words. I got to admit.
I hadn't noticed that.
The filter doesn't work every day, but communication's not a problem. All right, we'll do that for you.
Personally, I kind of tell everybody I interact with who I could view as investigators, such as the gentleman in the back named Brad, suggesting perhaps one day he could get licensed. I think so. I think we all encourage, because we're getting older, aren't we?
I know. I started to tell you. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Don't be taking my staff.
Okay.
I'm having enough. He'd have to move on to another profession. He wouldn't be allowed to work in this with us. Oh, okay, we'll move right along. Legislative update. You had one little thing.
Yes, just one. As you know, there was the sunset hearings for the different boards. The PI Commission was extended until June of 2024. That's been filed under public chapter number 516. And that was the only legislation affecting your commission this year.
Yes, that's the one that Mr. Brown and I went to. Okay.
Is the budget continued on till
As far as I
then?
know, yes, I think that's,
Yes, we're finished with the budget.
I mean, is the budget continued on till 2024?
Budget?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a budget as long as you have a commission. Yes, sir. Okay, well, we do have a couple other things on the agenda. Application review. These two, I believe, are a polygraph. I did call Mr. Richards and talk with him. I certainly appreciate that. Sometimes I get questions that I not real sure of, and I do call different commission members. I try not to call always the same ones unless you're in that profession. But with Mr. Richards, he is our polygraph expert. We want to look at the first application review would be Exhibit A, Rusty Borden. G-E, Rusty, R-U-S-T-Y. Yeah. Oh. I will give you a little rundown of this. The Alcoa Police Department bought equipment. Apparently, had this gentleman trained as a polygrapher before he got a license to do so. To look at this and according to the information he has provided, he does not qualify, if I'm correct on that, Mr. Richards. I did talk to Mr. Richards about this, and I thought the best thing, of course, was before we could make any decision, we must bring it to the board. So I would defer, if it's okay, to Mr. Richards if you have any questions about what he would need to do. He just what to say. He doesn't qualify.
Oh, Rusty personally, but I know his reputation. He's an outstanding officer on the Alcoa Police Department, and he's had previous experience on the Blunt. Had a ton of training. He's well regarded. The department has spent a lot of money training him, buying equipment, but he didn't read the law before he went to the school. He does not have any college credits. He's never attended a single college class. And I really sympathize with him and his department. But the fact remains that the law says that he's got to have 2 years of college credits. Now, I've encouraged him to try to find a school that will give him some credit for his police experience, the Polygraph school, and all the classes that he's taken, and then to go ahead and take some more credits, some classes, to get his necessary number of hours. And he says that he's going to do that. But to approve him, I think it would cause a detrimental effect on the profession and the credibility of the profession.
Have you, everybody, you can kind of look for yourself. It's on your iPads, is the information they gave. I'm like Mr. Richards, I'm sympathetic to the police department who have spent thousands of dollars. This polygraph law is very specific. It does not leave really any room for discussion, I don't think.
Getting a bad precedent if his was approved. And I also fault the school, because that school down in Atlanta, they train a lot of Tennessee examiners. They know what the qualifications were or are, and they apparently didn't mention it to him. So he went down there without reading the law, and they didn't mention to him that he's not going to be able to get a Tennessee license.
One question, this American International Institute of Polygraph is an approved.
It's approved by the APA.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question to the director. He's passed the exam, the Tennessee exam. Is there a time limit on when he has to receive his polygraph certification from the state? Does he have time to try to work this out with
Or making new application?
Yes.
The computer will close out his application within 6 months. You got 120 days or 125 to have whatever that works out to be.
But in his case, he's not found a school.
12, 15, 18. Yeah, see, so it might take him quite a while to do this, wouldn't you think, Mr. Richards?
I would think so. He hasn't found a school that will give him credit yet. He hasn't gone that far, so it's going to be a while.
Water State wouldn't?
He's trying to work through them, but they haven't given him an answer yet.
His application will be closed if you deny the application. He will be required to reapply, but no, he's already taken the exam and it would still be good.
That was my question.
That was the question you was asking.
He would not have to take
the other
the exam
information
again.
would still say the same.
So actually we have no authority to accept his application.
That's why I called Mr. Richards,
Oh.
and we spoke on it.
How many months does he have left? Did I miss that?
When did he apply? Okay. I have it here just as soon as I can find a date on it.
Does the 6 months start when he
It's
applied?
already started.
Oh, it
his
start-
6 months
It
is
doesn't
already-
start when we approve or disapprove.
No, it's already started. Doing the internships, it was notarized December the 1st of 17. So we've had it for a while. Yeah. He's apparently not going to be able to probably get all that, so we're going to, I would say probably I know we are going to deny the application. I'm going to tell him he would need to follow Mr. Richards' instructions if that's what we're doing. The application will be closed. I need to him, once he obtains this information, to contact me. That at that time we'll determine how much time had been in between, see if the application could be reopened. But we're not going to hold this application open a year or anything of this nature. I mean, the computer will automatically close it after, like I said, the 6 months. But the other information that he gave us, his exam and his certificates and everything, will be used out of this application. He won't have to do anything else but provide us with it, his college.
Chairman, for the record, I move that we do not approve his application at this time.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I would only ask, it's a tangential, but I would only ask that, are there not post-secondary educational institutions that can review an adult life's body of work?
That's what he's
think
trying
they
to
are.
do.
That's what he's trying to
But
do.
he's got to
Okay.
do that.
I wish him well in doing that. I hope he finds success in that. I'd be all in favor of his finding that path, but I must stand by the rules. Discussion over from me.
Maybe one of those online schools could, anyway.
Excuse me, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, under discussion, if in fact this comes back to this board, it's part of record of all of this, and did you not, Ms. Cody, did you not say that he would not have to go through and supply us with all this other stuff?
But what he would have to do, he'd have to make application again. He's going to have to pay the fee again. That's what
It's
the
that
statute is.
simple.
But the information that he has provided us with, we've looked at it. All that other information
Will be
we
with
can
us.
get from his other
Okay.
file. He's just
That's- I
going to
just
do
wanna
that.
make sure I understood
Here, you don't need to do a background check. But anyway, then we would just get the college, what we need.
Just want to make sure it's
We would
clear.
have
Thank you.
everything we need for that. Now, gentlemen, when I say that, I don't mean that 5 years from now. Within a reasonable length of time, what I'm going to say.
It would have to be a accredited college, not just a school online that you can become a preacher
Yeah,
in
that-
$35.
Yeah, that's set forth in the statute, regional or local accreditation committee. Mhm.
That
Law says holds a baccalaureate degree from a college or university accredited by a recognized regional or local accreditation committee.
All right,
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
motion was to deny the application, correct?
Yes, it was.
I'm just making sure. All right, your next application for review would be Exhibit B, and it is also polygraph.
And what's the issue with this one?
If you will read this, you can see that this gentleman here is with the police department, and he has not had enough polygraph exams. I believe they have to have 50. This gentleman here's only had like 39, if I'm not mistaken.
The Highway Patrol?
Robert Johnson.
Yes, it's Robert Johnson. Yes, if you would, Commission would look, he's from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. For Mr. Barnhill, Special Agent with the TBI. He apparently is with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. He has completed 39 of the 50 required examinations, and they are asking for an extension for that, and it is available in the statute under internship 6227-111B. It talks about extending the apprenticeship for a period of 6 months.
I make a motion, we extend it.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to extend this for 6 months. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Very good, thank you. That was your application review. Correspondence, I don't have any correspondence today. I believe we could go down, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, to the Education Committee. Education Committee met earlier this morning. If you wanted to go ahead with that, be fine.
Do we have a motion to approve the education report?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
And we're approving all of the candidates.
Yes, sir, you approving the course for Charles Blackwood, Mark, Caudel,
Total.
the Tennessee Professional Investigation, Tappy, and Mr. Timothy Reese, R-E-E-C-E.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All those were approved. All right.
Unfinished business?
I don't believe I have any unfinished business.
Any new business?
I don't have any new business.
Continuing Education Participation Forum. Do we have anybody appearing for that? Seeing none?
I'm seeing none.
Do we have an motion to adjourn?
Chairman,
I've
before
got
we,
one question.
Okay.
Okay.
Last year, Ashley was able to get some good changes made in the polygraph rules, but we had some changes that we wanted made in the law as well. What's the status of that?
So when the commission makes that suggestion, what I do is I draw that up and I submit it as part of the commissioner's packet. The commissioner will then pick and choose which ones that she wants to have sponsored on the Hill, and I don't believe any of ours were selected to go on the Hill.
They're not going to go this year then? So our only recourse then is to try to get a sponsor?
Yes, sir, from the Hill, yes, sir. Again, we can try to put that up again next year and see if that gets put in the administration bill. But that's all we can do from this end is make those suggestions and requests. And if they are selected, they'll let us know and we'll move through the process that way. But if they're not, we have to try to find a sponsor on the Hill for it. I think that's probably our only recourse.
Because my understanding, talking to people, the only way a person be a polygraph examiner now is to be in law enforcement because of the 50 exams they have to
That's
attend.
not exactly true. They may, I'll let Mr. Richards answer that.
Well, they got to have the 50 exams, and it's extremely difficult for a private examiner to get those 50 exams because a lot of the police departments that have examiners won't intern a private examiner.
Right.
And so it's just hard to do, and you can't, there's just not that many polygraph tests being done in Tennessee.
Actually, it just reminded me, those 50 exams are in the rules. Is that something that, well, I believe they used to have more than 50 exams, and we reduced it down to 50 exams.
I thought it was 60 at one
Yeah,
time.
it was more, and we have reduced it down. Is that something we need to take another look at?
I think so.
Okay.
You do or do not?
I do not.
Even with the new technology and,
Difference is the experience.
okay.
So there's really no other way except through law enforcement?
Well, yeah,
Reasonably-
you can go to another examiner, another private examiner, and try to get your 50 tests that way, but there's not that many tests in Tennessee.
Right.
And an examiner doesn't want to, a lot of them, me included, don't want to.
Understood.
But what about a private entity such as, Shoney's that run polygraph examiners? I'm sorry, run polygraph tests for their new hires. Would that private,
You don't do that anymore.
they just don't do it?
Those pre-employment is, for private industry, is out the window. Yeah,
Okay.
they don't do that anymore. In certain professions, like armored guard services, they can do it, but not Shoney's.
Yes, sir.
For the record, I'd like to acknowledge our past chairperson, is Chairman Minnie Lane, chairperson Minnie Lane in attendance. Thank you.
Oh, gosh, y'all want to?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We appreciate her being down here with us. Certainly do. And everything that she has done for the commission. We certainly appreciate that as well. We
Thank
hope
you
she
for coming,
continues
Minnie.
participating with us.
I would add a comment. I witnessed a rather great moment in which a board member of the Tennessee Professional Investigators Association awarded Ms. Lane a Lifetime Achievement Award on March 17 in the afternoon. It was a great moment.
But your life is not over yet, so we got ways to go.
Any further comments? Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
I apologize again.